This is Adamson Mushala. He is one of Zambia's most complex and controversial historical figures. But the narrative around him has never been clear because some people view him as a hero, while others view him as a rebel. Before you decide whether he was a hero or a rebel, let's dive deep into who Mushala really was.
From the government side, or I would say from the unique point of view to Mushala's point of view, I think it brings in a very, I would say, contentious situation, because on one end, let's say Kenneth Kaunda is helping the other countries gain their independence or fight for their independence. You're talking about South Africa, you're talking about Angola, Mozambique, Namibia, and Zimbabwe. And there are a lot of details, I would say, publications in the newspapers that link Mushala to the South African apartheid government. So if the South African apartheid government was helping Mushala to destabilize Kenneth Kaunda, who was helping the South African people to gain independence, then now we start to look at Mushala to say, if he's being financed or being trained by the South African apartheid government, can we support someone who is being pushed by the apartheid government to destabilize Kenneth Kaunda, who was helping Nelson Mandela and the ANC to overthrow the apartheid government?
In the early 1960s, Mushala joined UNIP and traveled all the way to China for guerrilla training. He even met Chairman Mao, who served as chairman of the Chinese Communist Party from 1943 until his death. Mushala named his daughter after Mao to honor that experience. Mushala was dispatched to China to receive guerrilla training, anticipating a return to combat the colonial government of Zambia. But by the time he returned, Zambia had already gained independence in his absence.
Was Kaunda saying these things to say that Mushala was part of UNIP? Yes, these were the people that were sent to China for guerrilla warfare. So because there was a lot of skepticism to say that the country of Zambia wouldn't have got its independence through the ballot, something that they call the ballot or the bullet. So it was either, if we didn't manage to gain independence by the ballot, we're going to get it by the bullet. So those rebels, or those guerrilla fighters, or the freedom fighters who went for guerrilla warfare or guerrilla training in China, were supposed to come back and fight an armed struggle. But fortunately, the ballot got us, the road to independence, and we declared our independence in 1964.
He aspired to be appointed as Minister of Tourism and Wildlife under the UNIP government, a request that President Kenneth Kaunda denied. After his request was denied, Mushala was frustrated and he left Zambia with a group of followers. They traveled to Southwest Africa, which is now Namibia, which was then under the control of South Africa. Mushala continued to hone his guerrilla skills.
But in saying that Mushala's not appointment to become the Minister of Wildlife, I don't really know. Maybe that's just a narrative that has been pushed. We don't, because it's taught from one point. It's not taught from Mushala's point of view. I think that might seem like he was a bit selfish to say that he didn't get a job and he was upset.
In 1975, Mushala returned to Zambia and he was inspired by the actions of Jonas Savimbi in Angola. After his return to Zambia, Mushala initiated a rebellion against the UNIP government, leading a small guerrilla force he called the Democratic Supreme Council. He and his fighters struck quickly, raids on government outposts, ambushes on patrols, sabotage of infrastructure, then melted into the dense forest of northwestern province. His tactics were brutal. Civilians were kidnapped or caught in crossfire. Most Zambians saw him as a dangerous outlaw. Stories grew around his legend. Villagers believed that no bullet could harm him, that he could turn invisible or into an animal to escape soldiers.
I think in Africa, we know to say that these things exist. I think in the newspapers there were a lot of pictures of the first raids that they had. I believe this is the Northwestern Province, what was called the Terror of Northwestern Province by Mushala gang. What they left behind was what they described as charms. And, charms, juju, black magic, They left guns behind, and they left some documents that the very documents that linked them to the South African apartheid government. So it's not far-fetched for me to assume or believe that Juju was involved. A lot of people said no, but a lot of people say that Juju was involved because it was said that he actually killed his sangomas towards the end because he believed to say that they were leaking information, and he felt like his time was about to come, and they knew his secret, and he killed them. Those are the stories that came out in the 1982, immediately after he died, I believe. So this is Times of Zambia and Daily Mail. So for me, it's not far-fetched to actually believe that Juju was involved. You know, Africa and Juju hand in hand.
And at his death, even the government was desperate to end the myth. They displayed his body publicly after he was killed in November 1982, one shot to the head.